her daddy Mac. Dan's 30 years got our way, trading life and markets every day. Rusty's chained to the mines, digging deep day by day. But when Option Omega releases new features, he's free to come out and play. Option Omega, you're trading home, where every move makes you feel less alone.
I like that abrupt. I like to just end it early. I hit that button every time, and it's perfect timing. Good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well today. With us is Mr. Dan Sheridan, the king of Chicago, as I call him. Mr. Matt Simon, the mayor of Indianapolis.
Definitely not.
And Mr. Rusty Mormon, get back to your hole.
That's right. That's right.
So good to see
Troy,
you guys.
is that in the OO pre-song with Rusty down there? Would that be, would you say coal mine? Would that be more like West Virginia, or what inspired you on that, or anything you want to share on that? Where's the location of that mine?
Rusty, you want to give that answer?
You want to give it?
Troy once said at our last job when we were working together that software developers are the coal miners of the 21st century, right? You're sitting there all day staring at a screen under like fluorescent lights. Depending on your work environment, you might be in some hellish environment where there's no walls and you're hearing everybody talk all day right next to your head in some giant cube farm. You know what I mean? Like, so that was sort of, we talked about because everyone knows like it's bad for your wrist. You get carpal tunnel and you're hunched over and you're not getting any exercise. So it's just kind of, that's why I said that. Now we don't want to make light of black lung or anything. So you got to take that lightly.
That's right. That's right.
Of the 21st century is the key phrase there.
Rusty,
are we talking about coal stocks? I've got the Peabody chart pulled up.
No, sir. Rusty and I have a mutual friend who's a welder who absolutely just got his hand hurt real bad this week, and we were looking at pictures. He was sending us pictures, and I told Rusty, digital coal mining has its benefits.
Right.
Fluorescent lights. So
there's less immediate danger, and more of like we'll probably all get heart attacks and go blind at 50, but low risk of like instant death. Low risk.
Yes. Low risk of instant death. To the question, is it too early for a cigar? No, it's not. Guys, the market has been down this week. I know my P&L's been down this week. How you guys doing with it?
Down this week. But here's the thing. I trade a lot of time spreads, and last week was unreasonably good. Like it was like, not like a event that never happens, but it was unreasonably good. It was a VIX up, market up. And, this week is just kind of, I just view it as Thanos balancing the scales a little bit, all things perfectly balanced. It didn't lose what I was up, but it's just what it is. I'm not overthinking it.
Yeah. We're down, SPX goes down less than 2%, which it was due to get a little bit of rain. It goes down 2%. PCE comes out today. Core inflation rate is in line, right? So it looks like ES is maybe up like 22 points, which I think is less the fact that, in my opinion, the inflation number, and more the fact that we're down 100 points in a week. Unless there's something negative with the core inflation report, we're up a little bit, which just means, I'm more concerned with the volatility. Looks like the vol will come down, but we still may be over 16 by the end of the day, which is not much premium, but maybe enough to help the double calendars stay above water in the middle. What do you think, Matt and Rusty? To go from last week, that seemed like a very powerful week in the world of mixed month spreads.
That's right.
What would you say, Matt? Like as far as if people were saying, why was it such a good week last week? I know we talked about this earlier in the thing, but what's your thoughts? Because you guys have on a lot of
For
mixed
me,
months.
it was clear that volatility was being pumped into the longs, right? To your point, but the market wasn't making violent moves, and so it was staying, within that profit zone where you want in the middle of the two tent poles, and a lot of my DCs are slightly skewed to the upside, so it was kind of a double whammy. Like vol was getting pumped up, and it was moving upward toward the call tent side. So it's kind of when that happens, the general structure of my own double calendar seemed to do exceedingly well.
Long Delta, long Vega. Yeah.
Exactly. So every Greek is it's in your favor. And then the opposite happened this week, which is we get a violent move, one, which is not good, but volatility really didn't move that much. And in fact, short-term volatility outpaced long-term, which is also not good because your shorts, you don't want a bunch of vol in. You want that to die and all your longs to hold in an ideal world.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the perfect storm. It wasn't real volatility. It was short-term noise volatility, which, was pretty bad for a lot of my double calendars.
Yeah. Do you look at the 9-day? Because the 9-day was all over the map. It seemed like for the short term, do you look at a 9-day volatility?
VIX 9-day, you mean?
Yeah, VIX 9-day.
I do like to look at the VIX 9-day volatility. I like to look at it in relation to the VIX, right? So we have a ratio NOO, so you can see the two together. And it's even after all this, it's still pretty low. Like it ramped up temporarily and then dropped again, and so it ramped up just enough to kind of stop out a lot of things and cause a mess. But you look at the market, it's not like it's a correction or something.
Well, yeah, there's no. VIX is just like, huh? What?
Right.
Listen, but we did have a little bit of a spicy news event yesterday. We're talking about, I know for a lot of people, Sosnoff was the kind of start for their options trading, announcing kind of the end, him stepping away from Tasty. Dan, you've known Tom for a long time. What do you make of the announcement and all those things?
Yeah, it's, I love Tom. I think, he's very, it's just wonderful to, over the years to see someone who, worked in an environment most of his life. He was in the OEX pit in Chicago, kind of the precursor to the SPX, and, used to a very non-bureaucratic environment, and how he ran a couple times big companies. But even if you ever went over, it was a pleasure for me. I used to do these Wednesday webinars with Tom at Thinkorswim years ago, and I would come over there, and it was just very relaxing environment. It was just, and they were happy there. The people were happy in this environment. The trading desk, Scott Sheridan was at the head of the trading desk, and just the bureau, it's like you guys. If someone wanted to talk to one of the owners, Discord or what, they're reachable. Scott Sheridan, any student, anytime, could call up Scott Sheridan and talk to him, and he'd talk to him, and just like a guy on the streets, they were just normal people. Like I was telling these guys, anybody who's ever emailed Tom Sosnoff, there's nobody by far. There's nobody in the world that's close to him. If I sent him an email at 2:02 yesterday, congratulating him at 2:06, I got it. And he had to have a busy day with a lot of stuff. That's Tom. And he's just a good guy. He's honest. He's, but he was like, I would throw John Nigerian in this also, but like I call him the Pied Piper of spreading the net, spreading the net for getting people involved with options. Tom and John too did more than, CBOE. That's their business, and they did a great job. They had a great education department, the CBOE. But I think John and Tom did more, as much or more than the CBOE, because they spread the word, right?
Yeah.
And Tom, great entrepreneur. It's like anything he touched, but I look at him as normal. He was no different in the pits than when he, became all this, just very, very humble guy. I mean, but he just really enjoyed this stuff, right? And anyway, yeah, very, very positive. Just everybody over there. But yeah,
Would you say he was having fun? Because it
What?
seemed like would you say that he was having fun doing it? It always seemed like he was just generally enjoying the whole industry. Like
he had a gas. I mean, it was never stressed with bureaucracy. He never let it get bureaucratic. I mean, he still would kind of, he had a bit of winging it with him, but he was obviously very smart. But it was just he simplified the whole thing. They had a crack trading desk at Thinkorswim, right? All armed with all market makers and they took care of people, bend over backwards at customer service. But he was always happy. I mean, Scott was a little more serious, but Scott had a good time. But Scott was, he would run it, the trading desk, and he did a wonderful job with customer service. But yeah, I think the industry will miss him. But I think, this to me is, when people say, I'm going to retire and I'm going to fish, or I'll, do ministry, or do whatever you're going to do. I just see this is retirement for Tom. I mean, in some capacity, I mean, I know he'll trade every day, all day, but whether he does something involved with options or not, I don't know. But I think he's affected a lot of, I mean, I'll tell you what he did. He provided a home for half the, when you look at the OEX pit, when that went, a lot of these, or especially a lot of traders, didn't have anywhere to go after the, once the business became, what do you call it? When Citadel and all the
payment for order flow.
Yeah, payment for order flow, and the pit stopped being so, there was an opportunity there anymore, because they took away payment for order flow, killed it, because now the market makers, it's like the prisoners running the prison, because if you're paying, and it still goes on, if you're paying $1 for order flow, right? Well, who did the CBOE get to pay all that order flow? They said, well, look, we're competing against the New York exchange. We need, so the market makers were paying to get Thinkers, or whose ever business. The market makers were paying all that payment for order flow. So it kind of made the margins for being a market maker and taking risk very difficult. So everybody left, and then Tom provided a place, right? For all, where the market makers with no jobs go. All right. Tom took a lot of them. John Najeri, people in that industry helped them a lot, right? And so what it helped the industry is get good, people who at least had some qualification, they did it for a while. So yeah, I miss Tom in the beret hat. I have a beret hat he signed and gave me years ago. I don't know if I could find it, but it's somewhere in one of these boxes. But yeah, did you guys, I mean, how you guys, as you were learning, wouldn't you say the Tasty, did you watch some of the Tasty trade? Oh, here it is. My wife just brought the,
I love it.
Oh, that's awesome.
The famous,
oh, wow.
hat, depending on how you wear it.
Yeah.
I should wear in honor of Tom today, the Tasty trade hat here. Yes, we'll wear the Tasty trade.
I love it.
Right way.
I love that.
Did you guys watch how you guys have watched some of the Tasty trade shows over the year, haven't you?
Well, I mean, when we were at work, when me and Rusty were working every day, I mean, it's
when we were working.
We had multiple monitors for a reason. We'll just say that, right? One monitor could have been the Cubs. It could have been Tasty, there's
a couple different things going on.
It was Chicago themed. You will just say that.
That's right. But one of the things, I mean, when you're learning options, even if you don't necessarily agree with all the content or even like all the content, just the fact that they have options content is a rarity, and that they had it like market hours. Like you could tune in and it was like its own TV station
Yeah.
that you could, I mean, you're picking stuff up as you go so well. I mean, honestly, I mean, shout out, listen, shout out Tasty, the OO show in general. I like the idea of the content. Like that's why we wanted to do it, you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you know, we just think there's enough room to go around, you know, if you want to hear from us, if you want to hear, but you know, that's different. I like that idea of putting stuff out there and talking about it. And some days, I was telling Rusty and Matt and all them when we first launched, like, I know some of you guys are like, why don't they just talk about options? Why is the first 10, 15 minutes just goofing off? Well, because a lot of people are at their desk and they're already working. So the idea of just, we're going to just give you pure alpha for 45 minutes at no wasted seconds. Like, guys, we're just dudes, just like anybody else. And we're just talking. And you can zone in or zone out and you can rewatch it. Like, that's the beauty of it. So,
and that's what Tom did that. I mean, when you look at their Tasty shows, that was being in the pits, honestly. In the pits, the market might be busy for a couple hours a day, but the rest of the time you're sitting on the step.
Right.
You're just, you know, because you can't leave because you don't win. If an order comes in, you're really, it's not advisable to leave that often. So you're sitting there on the step. Guys that smuggle their sandwiches in the pit, and you're just sitting there on the step. But that's how Tom's show was. But one last thing I think is important. It's you know, you think about it. We're in a country where sometimes people can struggle with other people's opinion, right? It's not open for constructive learning. I loved it in the options where even with Tom, we would disagree on, hey, you can't adjust it this way, or you can adjust it this. And we did it, but it was like, hey, you know, I liked your idea, or no. I mean, it was more for learning. There wasn't like my idea means anything to me. It's
Right.
like, hey, we just want to make a few shekels. If you have a better idea than me, I'm
Hey,
going
you
to take
hold it lightly. You hold the idea lightly.
you hold it
right?
very lightly.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
how it's always been. It's like, hey, I got an idea on something, but
Right.
you know, if
speaking
you had a better idea, I'll go with your idea. You know, it
That's
just
right.
gets,
That's right. Well, speaking of shekels, let's look at some shekel trades here, as they say. No one's actually ever said that, but as they've said for the first time now, let's look at some shekel trades. So as we looked yesterday, we're going to continue also something people have never said. So this is the test we looked at yesterday. Shout out Anonymous, who sent this to me and said I would love feedback. And this is a 35 delta call fly 0 day. You buy the 35 delta, you go 30 points up, sell 2, go 30 points up past that short, sell 1. So it's a butterfly, right? And we looked at this and kind of dissected it a little bit yesterday. And as always, shout out to the community, shout out to the people, shout out Mr. T, because Mr. T has come to bat. And you know what's funny about this? A lot of times, the thing I love about the community, it's like they're always there when you need them. Like, I don't, like Sijeku, like I'm just thinking off the top of my head, Sijeku, Steven,
yeah,
Mr. T, like the batting, the starting lineup, they never go to bat at the same time. It's like they internally know this one's my turn. Hey guys, let me take this one. And so Mr. T said it's my turn at bat.
Yeah.
So what is this? This is a 0 day call. Also a 35 delta, same structure. He changed the rails a little bit. So as always, actually, I like to just not show these tests to anybody before we look at them live, and then immediately ask people to dissect it. Rusty, what are we looking at here?
Oh no, I knew you were gonna ask me. I knew it was coming to me. I'm gonna go back to the mine. All right. So what are we looking at here?
Rusty's at a disadvantage because we basically broke this trade down yesterday, just the same thing with a few different rails.
So I was going to say that the first thing that jumps out to me that you don't see a lot is an exit when the VIX 9-day moves up 10%. That's not a condition, right? Like I've seen a lot of DCs where you exit when the VIX 9-day gets crushed,
Yeah.
right, on a double counter, because you want to get out before all the premium's gone on the longs. And so you're like, okay, short-term VIX is way down. Let's just cut our losses, right? So that's pretty common. But this one, yeah, you're saying because this is a call. It's interesting. So since it's a call fly, 0 day, you're going to exit if the VIX on day goes up a lot. Well, normally that only happens like a 10% jump in the VIX 9 days, probably only going to happen if the market dumps.
Right.
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 Yes.
Right.
And so it's interesting that you're doing this instead of a move down, right? Like a percent or a half.
Yeah.
Like you're not, usually you would think, well, if the underlying moves down, get out because, or something like that. So it's an interesting addition to this. And I'm curious if there are times when you have a VIX up, market up, where you just take it and run. I don't know if that happens. You'd have to go through the trade log and look at the exit conditions, but that's the first thing that's kind of really piquing my curiosity. I like the fact that, it's a morning trade. You've only got 2 entry conditions. It's not too overfit. You've got 270 occurrences, and you're basically just saying if you're in a short-term pumpy market and overnight the VIX has gone down, get in, right? The floating entry is a little odd to me on a 5-day SMA. I guess that can move enough to where maybe you would be thinking you'd have some kind of EMA condition or intraday movement condition or something to do that float. But I guess you're just waiting for
It's like a poor man's orb almost.
Right, because the overnight move is not gonna change between 9:32 and 10:45. It's just the overnight move is the overnight move. So you're basically saying we're gonna float this sucker in the morning, waiting for the 5-day SMA to kick, waiting for the market to get above the 5-day moving average, which can happen, but the 5-day SMA doesn't move that fast. So it's a bit of an odd duck to me. I'm just going to throw that out there. There's a number of things on this I'm curious about. Troy, do you have more? Yeah.
It's one of my I just remembered this happens on Fridays. This is my favorite thing because Rusty, for those who don't know, Rusty is what we call a gangster. And
a gangster.
That might be the last word I've ever used to describe myself.
Rusty's that type of guy who, now he's never done this to me, but he probably has wanted to do this to me. Rusty's the type of guy where like, you'll work out, because I worked under, he was our team leader, so I would work under him. He'd give me my yes sirs to go do, and I would do them, and I would work really hard. I'd work at a week, and then I'd come back and say, hey boss, this is what I got. And
are you Mickey Mouse in this scenario?
Yeah,
Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
Who am I?
And
okay.
He would say,
I'm a real programmer.
I'm a real developer.
I'm a dev.
I love the voices.
I'm
a junior dev in the dev department.
At some point in arguing with Rusty, I probably have cried and said something like, I'm a real developer. But you work really hard, and then after the week, Rusty says, hey, bud, I really appreciate the time you put into it. Now delete it and do it the right way. And so
that scenario never actually transpired.
Oh my goodness.
It's all lies.
The vibe. I feel like the vibe.
This is Troy's fever dream 5 years after the fact. But keep going. I like this.
Yeah. Anyway.
So this test is wild. It's kind of, I'm just putting it in the poor man's orb category, but here's the reason why it's not.
Yeah.
If I can enumerate, if you look at the trade log, it almost always is entering at open. Like to Rusty's point, it's almost always entering at 9:32. And so can I just spin for a minute on a couple changes that I made to it? I took off.
Matt, would you like to cook? Are you saying?
Yeah, let me cook.
Okay.
I did the following. I took off the VIX move down exit, the VIX 9. That was only 5 times. And it made it a little bit better, but 5 times out of 268. Okay. And then I removed I changed the intraminute stop loss to be trades plus NBBO, which is more harder, more stops. And then I also did something that some people are going to want to fight me in a UFC cage match on the White House lawn. I did 50 cents of stop loss slippage, and I did that thusly. I think that I put stop loss slippage on. I put more than maybe most people, and you basically what that does is it makes you get out for a buck. And the reason I did that is because if you're exiting, even though it's 0 day, it's a fly, it's got multiple legs. I just felt like 50 cents, that's maybe a little on the heavy side, but it's probably not on the light side. And here's what it did. It took the MAR down, but it's still a 2.8 MAR. Now we're contract capping here. So, keep that in mind, but it's still a 32.
Do you want to share it? Or do you want to view your screen? Just take over the screen?
No, but
okay.
I mean, I can give me a minute and I'll put it in a link. Let me just cook on this last thing. It changed the capture rate from 33% to 29%, but I'd have more confidence in doing this. Basically, that's it. I'd have more confidence in the test doing a test that had more stops and charged more for the stops and less in a 1% exit condition that rarely happens. So yeah, I'll share it and post it here in just about 5 seconds.
When you're talking about execution, I'm just looking at this. Okay, you're doing a 30 wide.
Yeah.
You're buying in at the money. You're selling 2 at 30 up. Then you're buying something 30 points further up. When you get out of the trade, you're asking the traders to get you out of something where your upper long is at 0.
Yeah.
And you want to get something. So then they're going to have to jury rig the other part of it, and you're going to get worse execution, which
yes, that's why I put the 50 cents exit.
Yeah. So is there a way? You just wonder. I mean, most of the time, well, do you just get out of the 1-2 and leave that upper long alone? Because that's never, 90% of the time, do you just get out of the ratio, buy 1, sell 2?
Yes.
Would that help the execution?
A lot of people. So I can speak to OO's automation platform. On OO's automation platform, if that long was bidless, people would often ignore that when they're exiting. Now,
it's an option you have to toggle on. So
it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ignore bidless longs. It's most often used, Dan, in like a credit spread. Let's say they just want to quickly get out of that short that's gone against them, and they don't care about the long. Like the short's the trade.
Right.
You might have paid 10 cents for the long, 5 cents. You don't give a rip. It's worthless now. Just abandon ship as fast as you can on that single short. Similar here, though, right?
Okay,
if you're losing value, you want to get as much as you can, especially from that 35. Well, what was originally and probably much less than 35 delta now on the close long and the 2 shorts. Anything you can get out of that is great.
Absolutely right.
And so what it does is you lose most of the time, but my sweet spot is debit trades with a fixed loss. I'm not overly concerned about slippage, and with 50 cent stop loss slippage on this, I'm not overly concerned about it. Debit trades with a fixed loss, and it's okay if they don't win most of the time, but if they have the potential for big winners, this kind of checks some of those boxes. So if you look at it, you're entering, $5 to $6 most of the time, and you're losing most of the time, and you get a buck out. But then occasionally you turn that $5 or $6 into $23, $22, $22, $8. Like, so you can, if you get in a thing where you can string together a couple winners, it can be really nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so, the automation platform is super flexible. So if you want to exit all the legs, that's the default option. Somebody just come in and you should try to sell that leg. Yeah, that's the default option. So,
right. It'll only abandon if you toggle that on.
It's only if you tell it to. It's what the user tells it to.
If you toggle it on, it'll check and say, does it have a bid? And if it does not, it doesn't even try to exit it, which makes sense to Dan's point.
Yeah.
But if it does have a bid, it'll include it in the trade.
We'll take it. Yeah,
we'll take it.
Yeah.
Let me look real quick. I think it's interesting to look at. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Whew, what is
One-
that? What is
Yeah,
this? I've not seen that. Sorry, I'm lying. Go ahead. Can't lie.
yeah.
This is a tool that Rusty
Eh,
had in. All right, so
it's Troy's idea. Don't give me credit. Stop it.
so when you look through this, like one of the things that's interesting about a butterfly is when you're first learning options, you think, okay, I need to get it to the win tent, is what I call it. The profit tent, the win tent. One of the things that's interesting, and this is why I think modeling is interesting in relation to backtesting, is as you look at it, you think about suddenly going from one, which we think of these as lottos, to maybe you do more than one in your backtesting and you do profit actions. Because as you see, when you first put it on, you are starting to collect profit the minute it goes up. Your long deltas on this.
That's right.
But what's happening as time goes on is that cloud, which is the profit cloud, will fulfill its destiny in the tent of profit. Is what we call it.
What is
right?
happening right now?
And so you what you want. One other thing, just again, I'm not saying this is good or bad, but something ideas to test on this is to say, what would it look like if we moved and I started taking profit as we go? And maybe you do that via the deltas. Maybe you do that saying that long call delta, that the 35 delta, maybe when it gets to 50, take 25% off. Maybe when it gets to 60, there's different ways to look at it.
Your win rate would go up, I think, quite a bit because you're like scaling, Troy.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, scaling it up a little bit.
Yeah, I like that.
And so anyway, I think that's an interesting thing to do. And obviously with 0 day, I mean, the deltas, you're going to be long delta, right? But as time goes on, what's happening in that is once you cross that threshold, you're losing some of the deltas again, right? Yeah. This is just the nature of a butterfly. Dan's probably advised a lot of people through the years and what's happening with this stuff.
I never had as nice a tool to show them on it, though.
Well, it is what it is, but
some would say it's an incredible tool, Troy.
Yeah.
Many people. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. The different Rusty and I were actually talking about this yesterday. 0 days, a funny thing, because a modeling tool for 0 day, like the Greeks are so in motion at this point. Like you don't see a lot of how the Greeks are interacting on a one lot modeling. You almost need to like model a couple different ones to see what it looks like.
That's a great point. I mean, 0 day Greeks is like dealing with the emotions of a teenager. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, it's just it is a mess. I mean, it's much more stable. You look at the Greeks of a 20-day option or third. I mean, I remember back in the day, I mean, people were like, why do we want to see the Greeks 1 day to 2? It's just so emotional. And it is a chance. So I think the fact that you're saying combining them, the
That's
different
right.
Greeks. Yeah, you have to, because it is so, it is like it's almost like two different businesses. Looking at the Greeks, you can almost teach differently the Greeks of 3-4 days and under versus the Greeks of 15 days, or it's a different ball game. And that's why I think it is so helpful to have these different, you can see multiple Greeks at the same time. You have to, because it's like you're things are moving at a breakneck speed.
And that's just why if you're doing, like you said, sub 3 day, you better be turning on gamma, especially if you're short at all.
Big time.
Like you want to know and then adjust that. You're like, oh, you're looking great in the morning. Well, take that slider and look at like 3:45 p.m.
Oh my goodness.
And look at gamma near the strike and tell me what's happening there.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Just be aware and think of your emotions as you look at the contract price and it's plummeting, going crazy because your stop is going through the roof. Just know that's, and then adjust the volatility slider. You play with this stuff and say, do I want to trade this? Or, I mean, if you automate it and you're motionless, great. If you're not automating it, or if you're staring at the screen all day and interceding all day, even with automation, just that's where that modeling tool helps. It will tell you, it will not lie to you, adjust the volatility upward, move the slider near expiry, and look at gamma and think, what's going to happen to my heart at that moment?
Well, and real quick, it's also, a shout out, to the automation tool that, you can argue that if you said to me, are you comfortably as a human being managing a 15, 20, 30-day trade? Yes. Most of the time, not always, I can stay with it. If you said to me, Dan, do you feel comfortable by yourself managing a 0-day trade? Absolutely not. Right? It's with the emotion. I mean, by keeping up on it every tick of the day. That's why I think having an automation tool is the only way to trade, especially shorter term options. And that's why, like, in the world of MEICs and all that, everybody's automated, because like Rusty said, the gamma on a credit spread, if you're doing an iron condor, it's amazing, 10, 15 points, the world changes. Yeah. Right? The world changes. Whereas 10 to 15 points in a 30-day iron condor, you're like, what's the problem? I don't care,
Yeah.
But in a 0-day, it's a different world. Yeah.
And I've noticed a lot of the 0-day folks, they are trading options, but in some ways they kind of are trading more just like futures, like where they're pure. Yeah. And to your point, Rusty, like gamma's maybe the most important for a lot of the spreads, especially at the end of the day. And I just see people like rooting for movement or not movement and just like becoming a fan of the trades and whatever. And it's kind of like, well, it's just a very different way of trading 0-day, which, there's a million ways to trade 0-day. And we just looked at a really interesting one here on the show. I really liked this butterfly. This is super interesting. I did uncap it and put a healthy allocation. It's got a pretty serious drawdown, but it's still interesting. It is a super interesting, interesting
idea. Try when you were playing with it. Did you try at all doing less of a width?
No,
instead of 30 by 60 by 30, could you go
maybe next week?
Money, sell 20 up.
Listen, I was just.
Are we going to have to do a butterfly week?
We're going to have to do.
Are we going to have to do a butterfly week?
Do it.
Yes, we have a world-class backtesting tool.
That's right.
That you can use whether you're on the beach or in the pits or at your desk. So we'll have to do some more backtesting.
Sounds like a Lil Jon song.
That's right.
Or in the beach. In the pit.
Yeah, in the pit. But I don't know. You can't use this world-class backtesting in the Smokies. You might not get any connection, right? In the Smoky Mountains.
No, that's right. Well, yeah.
Starlink.
Starlink, baby. Well, listen, a couple things real quick. I will go ahead and address it. People have asked, when does that thing, what is that, and when do we get it? Like Chef Boyardee's mom said in the old commercials, good food takes time. Good food takes time. That's all I'll say. And also remember that every day that the food cooks, it simmers, the food gets better. And so no one wants microwaved ramen after 30 seconds. Everybody wants microwaved ramen after 3 minutes. And I mean everybody. So
I don't like ramen.
Big ramen house here.
Yeah, are you a big ramen house? Are you big?
My son, not me. But
oh yeah. Oh, well, listen. When I was a teenager, the amount of ramen I ate from the years of like 14 to 18 was.
Dude, it's really big with like the preteens now.
Listen,
it's very popular
in college. My parents, in a good way, they were disciplined people. They were strict with me. I called them up and I said, I'm out of money. I blew through all the money that I had saved up, or most of it. Like, I'm running low. What am I going to do? My mom was like, well, go to the store and get some PB&J and some ramen. So like I lived like Depression era for a whole semester, like a half semester, because like an idiot, I had just blown through all my cash. But I learned from that. It's like, well, you learn how to budget, you get sick of. I haven't touched ramen since that semester. I'm not gonna lie.
But PB&J, you never get tired of that. Right?
Well, I think all of it. I never want to think of it again. It was a dark time. We'll just say that.
It's the thing is when you're a kid, like you don't, like you're like 16, and you're like, I probably could learn to cook, or I could just be eating in 3 minutes. Easy choice.
No brainer. Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah,
the chat is alive. I put mine 3 ingredient ramen hack, which I learned from somebody that actually Rusty knows. And then other users are dropping their favorite ramen hacks. So we'll probably do a ramen week on the show.
A ramen
coming
Can
up
you
soon.
backtest a ramen? Like, how's that work?
You can backtest butterflies. Can't backtest a ramen, but you can forward test a ramen.
That's right.
Well, on that cliffhanger, we will look at both ramen recipes next week, and it sounds like we got to go down the butterfly train next week. So
listen, if you want to do the butterfly trade week analysis, modeling, backtesting, world class, what will help is if you send and post backtests, send them to Troy, send them to Troy on Discord, post them in the channel. We will chop them up, and that will give us stuff to talk about. You know,
I am going to go ahead and put this in here that don't post it to me. Put it in the OO discussion channel. The OO discussion channel is the place to do that. That's right. For all the play, and that way everybody can see it because people improve on it and things like that. I'm just going to be like, cool. That's all.
Cool.
So anyway, got to get back to sauna. All right, guys. You guys have a great trading day, and we will talk to you soon.